Under a gray autumn sky in Lacey, Washington, horror erupted outside Timberland High School. 17-year-old Fatima Ali was attempting to run away from home, away from her parents. According to court documents, Fatima claimed she was defying her parents' wishes for an arranged marriage with a man from Iraq, a claim disputed by her mother and father. Fatima was running away from home and trying to get to a youth shelter. That's when she was confronted by her parents at a bus stop at the high school. Her father allegedly strangled her until she lost consciousness, while her mother joined in, choking and dragging her across the pavement. Students and her boyfriend intervened desperately as the school went into lockdown. A passerby wrestled the father to the ground until police arrived. Court records revealed the alleged terrifying motive, the threat of an honor killing if she did not obey. The parents now face charges including attempted murder, kidnapping, and assault. The trial began today with opening statements and a shocking video of the alleged attack. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard tonight, but unfortunately we're talking about parents on trial again here at Court TV. Not the first time, unfortunately won't be the last time. And it just makes you think, why do you become a parent in the first place? I mean, what's your purpose as a parent? To raise, nurture, and protect. Raise, nurture, and protect. Well, let's talk about these parents. There was an attack. And I know there was an attack because there were a whole bunch of witnesses who saw this attack, which was also on video. So what happened is in clear view of everyone here. It's a father, it's a mother out of control, going after their daughter, teenage daughter. Yeah, teenagers can be tough sometimes. We've all been there who've had teenagers. They have good moments and they have some really bad moments. But this is a bad moment for these parents. The question for the jury is, will it be a criminal moment? But the other question is, why would they do this? Why would you attack your daughter in broad daylight in front of dozens of witnesses and on camera? Why would you do it? Is there some explanation for this? Is there some mitigation, some way? Because you can't say you didn't do it because you did it. The witnesses saw it. It's recorded on video. You did it. The real question now is, why did you do it? And is there anything that you can say that can somehow lessen a father's hands around his daughter's neck as her eyes are rolling back in her head? Is there any way to explain that? And if you can explain it in some way as to why you did it, will the jury care? Will the jury care? That's a big question in this case. Because what actually happened is going to be pretty clear. Clear from the video, clear from the witnesses, including the victim in this case. So now the onus, even though the burden of proof is one direction always, but we know what that proof is. And when that proof is put in front of a jury, all of a sudden it's up to the defense to do something with it. And why would you do that? Why would you do that? And we'll see. We'll see if there's any explanation. Let's get to the video. Now, I'm going to show you the video in just a second. I'm going to warn you, it's violent. Those are the accusations in this case. But we took the sound out because there's so much cursing going on in this attack and the people coming to try to save this teenager from her own parents that we had to take the sound out. So I'm going to play the video for you. There's a bus pulling up. The bus has a camera. And take a look at what's happening here. As we zoom in, you can see the attack happening. Now, we've blurred out some of the underage people there, but there you see the father has the upper hand on the daughter now and has his two hands around her neck and has her down on the ground. She's beneath him. And you've got everyone else now trying desperately to save this girl. from her own dad. Thank goodness this is happening in public and not behind closed doors in a house where there's no one there to protect her. Here's the bus driver coming out. Everyone's jumping in. Think about how many people it's taking to stop this man from going after his own daughter. And there comes someone who's driving down the street. He jumps in. At first, you know, everyone's thinking probably it's just a bunch of kids fighting, but it's obvious that it wasn't at this point. Unbelievable when you think about this. You're doing it in broad daylight. All these people here, these are all what we call eyewitnesses. The camera, that's also more direct evidence. It's a video of the actual attack. So the evidence in this case is going to be pretty consistent, pretty clear about what's happening and how people are reacting to all of this. So, you know, what's the trial about? The trial is really about some explanation, some attempt to mitigate what is happening here in plain sight. Unbelievable. You think about it. I mean, think about it. This is a father going after a daughter? First of all, any grown man going after a teenage girl, like, really? And you're her father. You're there to protect her from other people who might try to harm her. And then mom jumps in on it? Then mom jumps in, really? Okay. But you know how I feel about all this. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. Also with us, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to have everyone here. Let's just start with the actual video of the attack here, Al. I mean, to me, you've got this direct evidence plus all these other witnesses. So for this trial, in proving what you want to prove, this is what you lay out for them.
Yeah. I mean, as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And you've got the picture, you've got the people saying the words. So, I mean, you've got the double whammy there. You know, and I don't know how you can overcome that film. I mean, it's just remarkable, and overcome what these people saw and what these people experienced, and the fear that they had watching what he was doing to his own daughter, all because he feels justified by some culturally sanctioned belief, okay, that the daughter is doing something that could dishonor or embarrass her family, and bring shame upon them because she's not conforming to the social norms that they believe she should be conforming to. This doesn't happen in this country. It shouldn't happen in any country, okay? And this is an absolute travesty. And I don't know how anyone in their right mind who sees this could say anything other than these people are as guilty as sin.
Darnell, what I see here is a man, a father, imploding his own family. Like, you're taking your family and you're blowing it up. The family's done now. This family is done. You've got the criminal trial. Hey, maybe you get lucky at the criminal trial. I don't know. The bottom line is this family is done now.
First of all, anything you do, you have to have some kind of goal or reason or rationale. So if the rationale was he's trying to prevent dishonor, like you just said, he's done. So the family's dishonored now. And I hate to agree with Al, but this is America. It's not condoned. It shouldn't be condoned anywhere. But what do you come here for? It had to be more than a check at Walmart. We know that these young people are the faces of the new generation. They're changing racism, culturism, and everything else. And he must expect that. You know, it's one thing, you know, to say that you want to make sure your kids, you know, dress appropriately because these young kids push that a little bit. But you're going to stop her growth in terms of who she wants to marry or who she wants to love. So I think he's pushed the envelope on that, and now he's entered the criminal world, and he should get sanctioned very, very heavily because you should not abuse children. Like you said, protect, raise, and support. And he didn't do any of those things today or when this happened.
Jennifer Brand, I look at this case and this 17-year-old girl, she's trying to get away from her parents, trying to get away from her home. Teenagers do that. They can do it for real reasons. They can do it for fake reasons. It happens. Here, she was trying to get to a shelter. I mean, that's the bottom line. She's trying to get out and get to a shelter, and she is stopped right here as she's trying to get onto a city bus to get to this shelter at this point. This is a family problem that is now a criminal problem.
That's right. And, Vinny, a lot of people, and maybe some of the jurors, will think that it is a family problem. And, parents are allowed to discipline their children. Now, reasonable discipline. And this certainly goes way beyond what anyone in this country would deem reasonable, because once you see the video and the violence and choking her, and there's going to be witnesses probably testifying that her eyes were rolling back in her head and she was passing out. So clearly it's more than regular discipline. But it started out as a family problem, and, I think that's what the defense is going to say, that this is between them. Maybe she was wrongfully going to a shelter or trying to get to a shelter, and her parents were trying to prevent that. I think we can all agree it went too far, but, the defense is going to have to come up with something.
Yeah, and you use the right words there, come up with something, right? So you're talking about witnesses. Let's take a listen to the bus driver who testified, first witness. That's how they got the video in from the bus he was driving. Take a listen.
Initially, I thought it was just teenagers being rowdy, but as I got closer to the stop, I noticed there was actually a grown man fighting with some teenage students. While they were fighting, while the punches were being thrown, he did lay a punch onto the male student, who fell back. And at that time, the adult actually grabbed this female student.
When you say grabbed her, what do you mean by that?
He grabbed her, toward the front, spun around, and then put a chokehold on her.
And what happened next?
They fell to the ground, and he held her. A couple of other students came running over, and they were hitting him, trying to get him to stop. I went out there and confronted the man while he was on the ground holding the female student, and I told him, let her go. As he was holding her, he was clutching his arm, and he was choking her. I noticed her eyes rolling into the back of her head, so what I did is I grabbed his hand and I pulled it off. I was able to spread his arms apart, and that's when she got free.
The level of rage, it took all these people, Al, to separate him from the attack on his own daughter.
I mean, imagine this, poor bus driver, who's going on a route, and I'm sure he's seen some crazy things in his day with, drunk people getting on the bus or people being rowdy on the bus or things along those lines. And to see what was going on there, for him to stop and get out and join in the fracas to be able to save this young lady from her father, who had her in a chokehold that sounds like it's something from like the WWE, where it's got the arm and then he's putting more pressure on her neck, eyes rolling up in her head. And this is what is being seen there. And you're right. It's the passion that is the most troubling out of all of this. That's not any type of, behavior modification or trying to punish someone for being naughty. Okay. There's something way beyond that level. Okay. And I don't think anyone can justify that by any stretch of the imagination, to put someone at the point of death, okay, because they won't listen to you or they're going to go to a shelter. I mean, how bad must it have been for this young girl to want to go to a shelter rather than go to her own house? So that tells you something right there.
And Darnell, I think the big question you always have to wonder in an attempted murder case, if there isn't this intervention, what happens, right? What's the result if all these folks, including another man who was driving the other direction, stopped his own car, got out and helped?
Yeah, so it's like I heard in the former segment, it has to go to intent, and intent is the hardest thing to prove because you have to sort of first begin to try to look into the mind of the individual And when that fails, then you look at the behavior and the actions of the individual to see if you can formulate their intent. So it's up to juries, right? But depending on what the defense says, it clears that this father snapped, he was out of his mind. Maybe that negates intent, but then it becomes reckless. So it can go down to, a manslaughter, attempted manslaughter, or something that doesn't have a mens rea. But that's what it's going to really boil down to in the criminal court. The behavior is clear. We don't condone it. He needs to be punished. But when you start to separate where are we legally, it goes to what can they prove that he intended to do this.
The other part of this, Jennifer, the rage aspect and the way, even after he was cuffed and he's in a cruiser, he's trying to order his wife and daughter what they were supposed to do. No acknowledgement of the moment. I wonder if he's acknowledging it now inside the courtroom.
Well, from the pictures that we're seeing, it looks like he's listening pretty intently. Whether he's acknowledging it or not, that's another thing. And, I think there may be, in terms of the defense, that, trying to make an explanation culturally. I mean, that this was something that he believed, perhaps, that she was bringing dishonor upon the family. And we've all said, Darnell and Al already mentioned, that's not something we condone here, and it shouldn't be condoned anywhere. But there may be some cultural differences that can be explained or try to be explained as to where the rage came from. Because this isn't your ordinary situation where she's just dating somebody he doesn't like or the family doesn't like. This goes way beyond that she's bringing some kind of dishonor to the family and they wanted to marry her off, which is something I don't even think they can mention during the trial. Isn't that correct?
Right, yeah, they're not allowed to mention it. Not allowed to mention it. It was part of the pre-trial motions, but it's not in there.
That's only going to work if they have a jury on the Zoom screen from his country. Sorry, Jen.
Yeah.